Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Branch Great Millstone, back for another video. But first and foremost, call Halal Yahweh by Shimei Shai by Shemika Hakwadash. Once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to also send out salutations to the Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, pushing the truth across four corners of this earth, while time permits us to do so. All right. Slocky for the voice. Once again, this is a video podcast, The Real Dana. And she once again interviews Judge Joe Brown. And I was unaware of this. I made a video using the clip that she's going to use here. I was unaware that the woman had died that's interviewing James Baldwin. But at the time, and she passed away four days ago. And her name is Nikki Giovanni. Now, for those of you that are not aware, she was instrumental back in the 60s when all this feminist bullshit was, in its, I guess you could say at that point, in its infancy. At least that stage of it. And dealing with this way prior to that, but I'm talking about as far as what we're feeling the effects of now as a result of that time period. Burning the bras and all that shit when that shit started. So, and it's like, you're seeing the devastation that it's caused in our so-called community, the Israelite community. I'm talking about, especially Southern Kingdom. Hey, you Northern Kingdom, you don't. Hey, it affects you too, but it's more readily seen, and it's so much easier to see among the Southern Kingdom. All right, devastating as it was intended to be. But the so-called black woman took the bait, and as a result, and I can't give you a percentage, therefore I damn sure can't give you a number of the women that still refuse to admit, and I'm talking about women my age and older, and those, generation before me, or after me, I should say, still will not admit, as usual, their part in it. They will not claim responsibility. Why? Because their real love, and let's face it, their real love is the so-called white man, the Edomite. All right. Well, let's go ahead and play this video. I done rambled enough. Plenty of scriptures on this. Here we go.
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of two zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
And what I would like for you, when I say this, don't say anything until after I play the clip, okay?
All right.
So I think it was yesterday, writer and poet Nikki Giovanni, she passed away with lung cancer. She was, I believe, 81 or 82. And, she is celebrated, particularly not just in the literature world, but in Black history and Black culture and the Black community. And I want to play this clip. This was from, I believe, the 70s, of her and James Baldwin in conversation. And, to me, this was kind of profound, her statement, right?
So everybody's jiving, but let's jive on that level.
If I love you, I can't lie to you.
Of course you can lie to me, and you will. If you love me and you're going off with Maddie someplace, you're lying to me. Because what the hell do I care about the truth? I care if you're there. What Billie Holiday say, hush now, don't explain.
All right, I accept that.
Of course you lie to me. And I don't even want to care. What does the truth matter? And why are you going to be truthful with me when you lie to everybody else? You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat
You
him.
must.
Treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell because I love you. I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much for the Black woman to ask of the Black man?
To fake it?
Works both. Shit.
So, what are your thoughts on Nikki Giovanni? All right.
Well, in 1967, she came to UCLA and she spoke in Pauley Pavilion to about 10,000 people. She did again in 1968, and the salient aspects of her speech were women do not need men. Men are the worst thing possible when it comes to raising children. So the best thing to do is find some tall, good-looking, intelligent, athletic man, get knocked up, and then don't even tell the son of a bitch that he's the daddy, because that's not going to do anything except, quote, F up children. So she did that twice. She was going around the country, and she came to the BSU meeting afterwards, and we had some choice things to say to her.
Who is we?
Well, it included yours truly.
You and other men, Black men?
Black women too. Like, sister, what's wrong with you? Why are you trying to say we should not get married? Because it's a form of slavery. So she was saying the Black person in America has escaped slavery. Black women should not be foolish enough to put themselves back into slavery by getting married. You don't need to be married.
So would you say she was more of a feminist and not a freedom fighter?
She was a feminist and a foolish one.
So, and that was in the 1960s when she was going to...
Full disclosure.
For those of you that somehow are unable to pick up on it, see, she's got a lot of shit with her too. But, this is scripture right here. This is Sirach. Let me get it. It's always been the case, but, in fact, they got into it not too long ago. Let's see. This is Sirach. 3:9 says, "For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations." And that's why I made a comment the other day on the video. This is how you got all these mophead jakes out here, all emotional, all right, and armed at that, as a result of the woman listening to this woman here who just passed away, Nikki Giovanni, and wondering, or perhaps not, don't even care to even know. All right. One of the reasons, aside from, this is going along with the curses that were put upon us, Deuteronomy 28, verses 54 and 56. All right. But again, there has to be order. All right. Order. This is 1 Corinthians 11. Let's start at the top because this is Paul. It says, "Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Hamashiach Yahushua. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinances." And what are ordinances? Let's get that again, just in case, for those of you that, don't know. Simply put, traditionary law, Hebrews, which we are. All right. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach Yahushua, the Son. And the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahushua Hamashiach, the Son, is the Most High, whose name is Yahweh. That's the hierarchy. But you just heard that she wanted to be free. She considered being with a man freedom. She foolishly believed at the same time that we were free because of that bullshit ass Emancipation Proclamation. Clearly not understanding what really happened. The games that were played. Yeah. This is why all we can do while we're out there on the highways and byways, preach the word as we were called to do. That's all we can do. The taking root in the people, the increase provided. That's up to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We do what we can, what we were told to do. All right. And it's you shouldn't be amazed that it's so few people that even come up to inquire. All right. Trust me, you see enough people going past, especially I'm talking about Jake, not wanting to look at us so we know that they know something. But see, they foolishly believe that the solution to our problems is going to be given to us by our enemy, not realizing that they are behind all of this, how we're destructured, destroyed. They are the tool of the Most High. They are the whipping stick. All right? They are the sword. That's Psalm 17 and 13. All right? That's all they are. They are a tool. All right? They're just fulfilling their end of prophecy. That's it. Let's continue on.
When I had this show, the Black Alumni Association at UCLA was putting on an affair, and they had some very expensive tickets, and I bought 2 tables worth. When I found out she was going to be the honoree, I canceled the check and sent a long letter detailing why.
Oh. Well, that conversation she had with James Baldwin, that clip I just played, was in 1973. But in the 60s, like you said, she was going around different campuses telling Black women marriage is like slavery. Why just get pregnant by someone who has a good physique, but don't tell them you're pregnant and raise the child.
And see, context. 10,000 people, let's say 8,000 were at Pauley Pavilion. At the time in question, 1968, the total number of Black students in all of UCLA was just not quite 300. So how many of that 8,000 were Black women? Very few. it was addressed to white feminists. And that's who she got her support from. She even talks like that, too.
She ended up getting married, but she married a woman, a white woman at that.
Yes.
Of course.
There you go. Remember the stories I told you about how this mess got started with the rainbow cult? Those that hated that they weren't men, the feminists, those that hated men, the lesbians, those that hated they weren't strong men, the beta boys, those that hated they weren't normal men, the gay boys, some of them, those that hated the fact that war was a man thing, the peacenik boys. See, it started off as a hate guy thing.
It still is.
And that's where we get to there. And she was one of the people that was spreading that word around strongly because they loved her. She had an afro. She was paper bag brown. And she was accomplished, and everybody loved her poetry. So they brought her in everywhere, and she spread that poison.
Yeah. And that's how they set Jake up to trap Jake. This is the real reason why they pay these entertainers and others all this money. It's not because they like them. They serve a purpose. And that's to get the rest of our people to go off, to keep us in that degenerate state. This is why. You never, ever will be able to prosper here if America was to continue. But thankfully, that's not the case. All right, let's get those other scriptures because this is, remember what he just said. She married, if you want to call it that, a so-called, well, the enemy, a so-called white woman, an Edomite woman at that. How about that? This is Isaiah 32:2. And a man, an Israelite man, shall be as an hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. See, people like that, and then we get into the vile people, the liberal and all that. These are the people that, the elites, all right, that behind all this shit. Here it started 9. What's the complacent women warned of disaster, but you're not even smart enough to take heed to the warning. This is verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days, and we bring this out. This is like, basic, Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. All right. And let's get this real quick because I looked this up before. And it says the disproportionate burden of eviction on black women. All right. This is from October, just over a year ago. 14 months now, and almost a couple of weeks. It says the United States continues to face an eviction crisis that has been exacerbated by the, pandemic, and that disproportionately affects communities of color, particularly Jake women. As of August 29th, 2023, this report contains corrections throughout. For a full list, all right, it directs you elsewhere, but it goes on racial discrimination and systemic racism, historically have kept. But see, here's the thing. You, because of your attitudes toward your own men, you've made it so much more worse, despite discrimination and, of course, systemic racism and all that. You did the absolute wrong thing by trying to do it on your own. Oh well, hey, It says historically have kept U.S. communities of color, as opposed to those without color, trapped in cycles of poverty and housing instability. They always word this as if they had no part to play in this. Notice that. In particular, eviction, defined as the court-ordered removal of a tenant from the property where they reside, has been a substantial driver of housing insecurity for Black Americans, with multifaceted and lasting impacts on families and individuals. All right, so blah, 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 blah. All right. After the termination of most pandemic-related renter supports, disparities in eviction filings and occurrences persist. Black women who faced higher rates of job loss during the pandemic and experienced one of the most severe wage gap in the United States are now more vulnerable to eviction and housing insecurity than they were prior to the pandemic. In fact, before, during, and after the pandemic, studies have found that Black women are disproportionately affected by eviction. And look at here. At the worst time, all the bridges you have burned from generations since the 60s, where men have just, at this point, have said, fuck it. See, that's the thing you weren't considering. And men, a lot more, are realizing now, don't need you. Actually, never did. When you understand basic biology and genealogy, I'm talking about basic stuff. You don't have to have a PhD or MD. It's just common fucking sense. The man begets, meaning he pushes forth his genes. All right. The woman conceives. It's always been that way. All right. So any woman I choose to mate with, what comes out of her is still of me. It does not work that way with you. So, like I say, you're going to have your simps out here. Yeah. You know, especially initially when things go all to hell, shouldn't be too far away. Jacob's trouble. And this is part of that. All right. And you will rue the day, meaning you are going to bitterly regret all the bullshit, like what we're talking about now, listening to people like this woman that just passed away, Gloria Steinem and characters like that. And clearly, I mean, to let yourself be used in such a way, and I bet you people that let yourself be used that way are the first ones sitting on in front of TV. You want to show when you see somebody else doing it, you're the first one. That never worked with me, and then, yeah, right. You know. Wow. Let's go finish this out.
Wow.
That's the only thing I can term it is poison. As a matter of fact, some of the conversation in that last BSU meeting was, are you so foolish as to not foresee how this is going to ruin the Black community if what you are advocating comes to pass? Do you think our community can survive if you destroy the family? Well, when you have men around, you don't have a family anyway. You just have a slave plantation inside one's household. So anyway, yeah, I classify the person as an enemy of the people. And I told her that too.
And what did she say?
She tried to defend it.
And you wasn't having it?
No, I wasn't as nice then as I am now.
You didn't have to be so polite.
Didn't have to be polite.
When you had your black leather coat on and your afro, you was part of Black Panthers during that time.
We won't talk about that. And I had a beard.
You were very militant. I saw the picture, honey. You was handsome.
Well, thank you. But I was, let's put it this way, community liaison to the Black Student Alliance for the UCLA Black Student Association, Black Student Union.
Okay. All right.
Did deal with a lot of Panther Party folk. I recruited John Huggins, Muncie Carter, Geronimo Pratt, aka G, Lane Brown, Nathaniel Clark, Glenn Goodlow, you name.
He's reminiscing, but days of old. But let's go back to this, because you women don't realize how bad you fucked up. You let your pride. What did I do? Okay. Like we use that scripture about Esau. Your pride has allowed you to be deceived to the point that, wow. Supreme Court homelessness case holds extra significance for Black Californians. All right, and this is California. They're getting carried. This is earlier this year, February. All right. Yeah. And to think, 1/3 of homeless Californians over 50 are Black. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of the city of Grant Pass, it will be older, so-called Black people without homes, nearing or past retirement age, who suffer most. How did we get here? No discussion of homelessness and race can ignore the long history of redlining. And this is what's so fucked up about all of this is you women, some of you men too, but we're talking about the women now. You so easily discount the history of this country. You believe that bullshit that everybody was on equal playing field, and that's never been the case. And never will. To the point now that they're going to roll everything back because these people, and this is history has proven this, whenever they feel a little threatened, and you can watch that animation. Who was it? What's the guy's name? The producer, Michael Moore, that he made. Talking about when the Edomites first came over here, they used the animation about the pilgrims and all that. It's the same old, wash, rinse, repeat, But this time, they're playing for keeps. You got to understand, prophecy must be fulfilled. In these prophecies, they're just jumping off the pages of the Bible. They are happening. We see these things. We're trying to, but like I said, your eyes are only going to be open if Yahweh Shem Yahushua allows them to be so. All right. Increase in individual homelessness, a gender analysis. Though the actual number of women experiencing homelessness is less than men, their 35% increase. Look at here, ABC News. Well, this is like coming up on 5 years ago. More than 50% of homeless families are Black. Look at that. And this is why we tell you Jacob's trouble is real. Again, should be common sense. We don't have the resources because we were not allowed to have those resources. Again, history, with all the times we tried to build for whatever reason, and we know the reasons, but I'm just putting this out here. Shit was destroyed because people look at the money aspect of it, but you got to understand the power to how am I going to say this? to power, well, the means to make your own rules, all that was never going to be allowed for us here. All right. It just wasn't. You got to understand, it goes back to the curses and all that, and the people knowing who we really are. They were never going to allow that. You know, it's just every little thing our people established, and you're seeing that now in a big way the last few years with entertainers. Certainly the last big one was P. Diddy, and looks like Jay-Z is going to be added to that. But like someone so wisely said, they love, when I mentioned how they set Jake up to deceive and other Jake and these entertainers and such, these are tools of our oppressor. And our oppressor has a long history of when he's bored or he's either through with those tools, he loves to break them. All right, and it's always very public, and it's done to shame them, like P. Diddy. He served his purpose. He was getting too, well, I'm not going to use that. I started to. He got too big for his britches. Letting you know, no matter how much money you have, these are the people that make the money. All right, so yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Wow. Yeah, she passed on away, Nikki Giovanni. But these are the people that, unfortunately, you know, have done so much damage to our so-called community. And in a way, that's why it was so successful. A lot of you are just catching on. I mean, even if you know to this day who she was and what she did. You know? Hey, so with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.